What's up, y'all? It's Rachel Elizabeth, and you're watching Real Talk with Rach. We're here again for week 9? Is this episode 9 already? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for 9 weeks. That is amazing. This week, we're actually going to talk about relationships again. This time, I want to talk a little bit about general relationships. The relationships we have with people, with other human beings. They are what life is all about. Without relationships, life would be the most unsatisfying thing. What would be the point of life? I know that that can actually become a sensitive issue because there is a big problem with isolation in the world, and sometimes we do it to ourselves. We isolate from people for various reasons, or we can be isolated just because of our jobs or the location where we live or whatnot. But before I get into what I really want to talk about, just know that you are never alone, that God is always with you, and that you have me here too. So you're not entirely isolated. But knowing that, I encourage you to initiate plans, invite people to go do things, accept invitations, get out and enjoy life and try new things. That said, relationships have a lot of impact on us. I mean that in literally every way possible. It affects the way we think, it affects the way we behave and act, it affects the long-term and short-term decisions that we make. And it definitely affects how we feel about ourselves and how we perceive the world around us. Relationships are extremely important. If that didn't convince you, I don't know what will. But y'all know me. If you've watched any of my videos or seen any of my content, you have a pretty good idea of where I stand and where I'm coming from. And that is a Jesus-loving worldview. And I truly believe that Jesus' intention for everyone was relationship. First and foremost, God is relationship in the Trinity. And then Jesus came to make sure that we could have the opportunity to have right relationship with God. And that was the whole point of Jesus' life, to come and basically be the scapegoat for everything that has kept us from God, so that by believing in Him, we can have relationship with God again. I truly believe relationship is the most important thing. So how do we have healthy relationships? How do we fix broken relationships? How do we start healthy relationships and keep them that way? This all comes down to really how you view God and how you view yourself. If you have a worldview that doesn't include God, then you're going to put the idea of God on something or someone else, and that is eventually going to be destructive. Because no created thing was ever supposed to be God or worshipped, whether it's yourself or someone else or something else. If you're not giving God the place and position that He rightfully deserves, then you're going to put that on something else, and it's going to affect your relationships. To put that simply, what that looks like is a very unfit, unhealthy self and a very unfit and unhealthy way of relating to other people. You're going to either see them as liabilities, or you're going to see them as tools and objects for your own gain and your own happiness. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of relationships failing, romantic relationships failing, because the other person wasn't making someone happy, so they had to leave, or they fell out of love with them. But love isn't about you. It's not about you at all. It's not selfish. It's selfless. And in order to make true, lasting, loving relationship work, you have to be focusing on the other person's benefit before your own. Now, coming back to what I was saying before, is that you're gonna either see the person as liability or as an object for your own happiness or gain. And I know that because I have done that. I've been on both sides. Both of those are incredibly embarrassing to admit, but extremely real. And like I said, this is real talk with Rach, right? So if I'm asking you to be honest with yourself, I have to be honest with you first. What that looked like in my life is that if I had a friend who I got in conflict with, or was keeping me from getting to whatever my goals were, if that friend was not benefiting me or was hindering me, I would just simply cut them out of my life. And that sounds really extreme. Sometimes it was that extreme, and sometimes it wasn't that extreme. But the only reason that that changed is because of God realizing that He didn't see me that way, that He loved me selflessly first. And then in understanding that love, I was able to love other people selflessly. And now I absolutely adore people. And I don't want conflict to make me push people away or distance myself from people. I do have a disclaimer. There are certain people who are in a very unhealthy place in life where they actually need to take responsibility for where they are. They might need help from professionals who know how to deal with the things that they're going through, but you can separate yourself. It is okay to be concerned for them. It is okay to love them, but at a distance that is safe. So anytime there's abuse, anytime there is substance abuse, anytime there is violence of any kind, whether that's verbal or emotional or otherwise, it is absolutely okay, more than okay. It is necessary to separate yourself. And honestly, I would say find them professional help and find yourself some professional help to put healthy boundaries up, because healthy boundaries are a way to improve relationship for yourself and for the other person. Now, I could go into that for a lot longer too, but I really, really, really want to make sure that you understand that the way that we see relationships will greatly impact our quality of life or how fit we are, because we're talking about fitness in every aspect of life. Then we have to see, we have to be able to point out, we have to be able to pinpoint every place in our lives where we could be healthier, and be willing to be honest with yourself and admit when you're at fault and admit when you need to separate yourself from somebody, whether it's a toxic relationship because the other person is hurting you and harming you in some way, or is it a toxic relationship because they're simply not making you happy and you need to check yourself. There are so many broken hearts that could have been avoided and still can be avoided if we take responsibility for our own actions, for our own thoughts about people, and really be real with ourselves and the people in our lives. Man, there's so much I could talk about on this subject. I really need to organize this a little better, but right now I'm just letting myself go. So you know what? I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I think I'm gonna stop right there because there's a whole lot to think about in what I've said already, and we can always make more videos in the future, right? So I want to hear from you. I want to know if any of this either struck a nerve or hit close to home or maybe was necessary for you to hear. I want you to be honest with yourself, and you don't have to talk to me about it, but you're more than welcome to. I'm not here to judge anybody because I've been there, I've done that before, and I don't want to hurt people in my life anymore because of my own selfishness. So I am more than willing to talk about it. In fact, I am a freaking open book. If you have a question about literally anything, you just have to ask. That may be an invitation that I regret later, but for now, I am open to answering any questions that you guys have. And I want to help you because I care about you. Whether I've met you or not, I want to share this love and this knowledge and this understanding and help you see yourself differently, help you see God differently, and help you see other people as beautiful and beneficial. Whew. So that one was heavy. Not all videos will be that heavy. Some will be super light and fluffy. And I will see you guys next week. If you liked this, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. If you believe in what I'm doing here, then I want you to be part of my family. Please consider donating. Every single little bit counts. I am so incredibly grateful, and it makes the time spent on these videos possible. So thank you so much in advance, and I cannot wait to see you again next week on Real Talk with Rach.